I can't remember which past president said I need to hit it harder, so I gave it my best. Well, it's a great day to be a Rotarian. Welcome to our meeting. It's Friday, August 11th, as you know. We are welcoming Teresa Hurley today, Development Director of the YWCA. And we have a wonderful program ahead of us. Do we need to hit the screen? Just some thoughts around what Rotary is all about. Areas of focus and something we're all familiar with. We're part of an international organization. These are the 7 focus areas and priorities of all Rotary clubs all over the world. And I highlighted in, it's a little hard to see, fighting disease, providing clean water, protecting the environment, because already in this Rotary year, we've been involved taking action in these areas. Today, we have a wonderful speaker from the YW. We'll talk a lot about maternal and child health and well-being. So Rotarians are every day taking actions to create hope in the world. So I appreciate you all being here. Let's proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the 4-way test of the things Rotarians think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it all concern? With well and better intentions, but be better to all concerned. And Elizabeth Jordan is sharing the inspirational message.
No, this is not a nefarious ploy to make sure I'm at the podium as much as possible. It's just so, as many of you know, I'm a baseball fan. My older son today just went off to Canusa to compete in the games there for baseball. And so maybe that's what had me thinking about a baseball poem. Now, how many of you are familiar with the poem Casey at the Bat? Okay, most folks. Who is it, right? And so for those of you who aren't familiar, you know, it's this big moment of tension, last inning of the game. The home team's down by 2 runs, and it doesn't seem like there's much hope because there's a few batters ahead before you would have any hope of getting to Casey, the hometown hero. But somehow with 2 outs, there ends up being 2 runners on, and it's all up to Casey. And of course, he famously watches the first 2 pitches go by, and then he takes that big swing and he misses, and mighty Casey has struck out. Now, when I was a kid and reading that poem, the reaction I had was, oh, you know, you shouldn't let the opportunity pass you by. You know, what business does he have waiting on those first 2 pitches? He should have swung. But maybe it was the fact that I played in the adults versus kids baseball game this past week, and the kids edged us out by a run, but I had a little bit more empathy for what it might be like to be Casey at the bat. And it made me think a little about what it's like to be in a position of pressure. The eyes are on you. There's that sense that you have to do well. You don't want to let people down. And how many of us have ever had that kind of feeling? Right? Probably almost everybody in this room. And if I put myself in that sense, I have a lot more empathy for Casey. Because there are times when you feel like it's all on you and you have to watch that pitch coming in. What if you miss? Maybe you freeze up. Or maybe, heaven forbid, you take a swing and you miss. But we've all struck out. And that's part of being in the game. Sometimes you strike out. So let's cut ourselves a little slack, give ourselves a little grace. Even though we're high-powered people that are excellent in all things, we still strike out, and it's okay too. So have a great lunch. You're around.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Enjoy your fellowship and lunch. We'll reconvene shortly.
Right, we all struck out our next one. My kids are probably on ball after their I had brothers that went to like state college and so. And I'm.
Welcome back. It's time to start our meeting. I'd like to welcome Al Tucker, District 6330, Assistant District Governor.
Okay, well, as part of the strategy and the plan to bring Elizabeth to the podium as much as we can. Elizabeth, come up here.
Almost like I never left.
I know, that is the plan, isn't it? Anyways, as District Governor Sonia was with you, she mentioned that this club has did a lot of great things last year, including one thing is they received a Rotary citation. But I have a theory. I want to ask you a question, trivia question. Think of it, Wizard of Oz, ending scene. You've got the Tin Man, Cowardly Lion, Scarecrow, about ready to send Dorothy on her way, and the wizard has something. And what does he give the Scarecrow?
A brain.
A diploma. So, because he said, unless you have diploma, you don't believe you have a brain. Well, until you have a real live Rotary citation, the club is not yet one of 12 to receive it. So on behalf of the district, Elizabeth, I want to extend to you and all the members. I know.
Thank you, Al. Steve has asked for a minute at the podium.
Good afternoon. 1 month from today, on September 11th at 5:30 p.m. at the Flint Institute of Arts, we will be hosting the 32nd Don Regal Community Service Award event. And the honorees this year are Jay Comaretti, Kathy Weiner, and Congressman Dan Kildee. So I hope that you will join us in honoring them for their service to our community, and you can call my office to arrange for tickets.
You. Beating the drum. Prim Rotary Mile is coming up. I want to thank Mike Chafee, of course, for all the work he's doing on this, and those who have signed up to help: George Ananek, Dominique Clemens, Howard Downing, Dan Cranny, Elizabeth Jordan, Ashley Prue, Jim Richardson, especially since we have a Sunrise member here today. Friendly, competitive challenge to those in the room. We are behind last year with our signups, and Sunrise is way ahead of us, way ahead of us. How many in the room will actually be running or walking in the crib? Okay, so you guys are off the hook. But everybody else has a chance to come and heckle us and throw tomatoes and do whatever you want by positioning yourself that day on the Prim Rotary Mile. So in a very, what I call analog form, there is an opportunity to just put your name on a line. There's forms on everybody's table for two things. One is the social event that's coming up this week that we're tagging along with the Back to the Bricks party. And the other is to say you're going to be at the Flint Rotary Mile on the one of the best days in all of Flint that I think comes every single year, and that's the Crim. So just please sign up. Service. Lots of ways to serve the club. I'm going to start by saying, pay your dues, please. Dues are due. Wonderful way to serve the club, because you save Amy and our wonderful treasurer Becky, who was here for our board meeting but had to leave. You save them a lot of time. and chasing us down and doing all the administrative follow-up. So please, your dues are one of our members that have not yet paid your dues, please do so. Things to sign up with. I mentioned the social networking. Again, just a reminder, we are tagging along. I know we have a lot of members who are chamber members and Rotary members. So there's a place on the form. If you've got a ticket and you're going, please let us know. You'll get a communication. If you have extra tickets and you'd like to share them, please let us know. And if you'd just like to join us, please let us know. Please put your names on the form. It's a really, really fun night if you've never been there. Again, it's in Rotary Park. Our name's right there. We sponsored that through our club philanthropy. And we'd love to take a picture of everybody who's going to show up that evening. I'm sorry, I will not be there. I'm on vacation with my lovely family, but it'll be fun. There's food, of course, there are hot dogs, and you can watch the cars go by. So again, service, thank you to the folks. This is a great picture of the morning club. We had help from another Sunrise member, Jack Stock, who's also out on the board of the Flint River Watershed Coalition. They were wonderful partners in facilitating the service project for us. So thank you to all who were able to be there that morning. And in the evening, we had a group in the evening and fun was had by all. Oh, I see. Somebody wants to be let in. So just a reminder, with our new club meeting structure, we are back here again on the 25th, and we will be welcoming Chef Mark Handy from the Montgomery College Culinary Institute. We've already talked about these two other events. Joe Martin is asking everybody to reach out to him. I know we have many members in our club who probably have ideas or connected either as board chairs or staff of local organizations who could use volunteers. Please reach out to Joe. His email's up there. And if you have an idea, would like to host a service opportunity, please reach out to Joe. And everything's better with friends. And I actually have a wonderful friend joining me today. My guest is Sandra Murphy. I'm proud to say I wrangled her into coming to Flint. How many years ago?
15.
15 years ago. She's just a tremendous asset to this community. She worked at the Community Foundation with me for many of those years, and she is the vice president of the board of the YWCA. She continues to give back and just be just a wonderful contribution to Flint Genesee County. So welcome, Sandra. I didn't even ask. Oh, thank you. Mike is doing a raffle. Yay.
All right. Third place.
715919.
Yeah, I'll bring it to you, Al.
Great.
Second place.
Second place, 715915. Brian.
And
And
third place.
this plaid place, you're winning it all, 715895.
Hey. I'm taking my
Moving on, everybody, thank you. I'd like Bob Sabilski to join us to introduce our guest speaker.
Well, good afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to the speaker of today, Teresa Hurley. And she is the Development Director at the YWCA at Greater Flint. Now, I got this idea, number one, because I know Teresa. Number two, I thought, boy, we had the YMCA in here. I think we ought to get the YWCA in here and see what's going on in their world.
All right.
Anyway, she's been with the YWCA since January. She has a passion for helping people. Has chosen their nonprofit arena to make that happen, to make a difference. She understands the raising awareness as equally as the company raising funds. And has served in area agencies here in town, the food bank, the American Red Cross, the Shelter Fund, American Cancer Society, and Catholic Church. And she grew up in Genesee County and Howard's alumni. I would say it's very, my daughter and she are classmates, which many of them. And then she's a Powers alumni, graduate from the U of M Flint, and she earned her master's in organizational leadership from Northwood University. Incidentally, the program initially was with the CEO, Michelle Rositzky, but something came up with it and she could not make it. And Teresa, I knew would make it terrific. So with that, I will introduce Teresa Hurley.
Hi, folks. No. Oh. Oh, for crying out loud. Everything's fixed. There we go. That's what this means. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I've been told I have a very loud mouth, so can you still hear me if I'm not in front of the microphone? Awesome, thank you. It's really wonderful to be here. I just want to certainly thank the organization Rotary for inviting us, especially Bob and Anne-Marie for your help in making this possible. Michelle does send her regards, unfortunately. Family comes first, as we all know, and her daughter had a performance today that she didn't want to miss. So understandably, I get to be here, and so you get my face today. So I do represent the YWCA. I specifically put in here, we are in the Phoenix building. We're at the corner of Saginaw and 4th Street. We are not getting a new building, and we don't have a Flushing location. That's our counterparts, which, by the way, I do want to say that we're building a really nice bridge between the YM and the YW, and we're going to start some partnership, especially since they're going to be kitty corner from us. So there's going to be a lot of overlapping. We've been serving the community for 100 years. Our mission statement is to eliminate racism and empower women. And people often say, well, how do you do that, right? So this is what we do. We serve Genesee County through our domestic violence programs, our safe room, and I'm going to talk about that, our advocacy programs, women empowerment, housing assistance, racial justice programs, and our Racial Justice Transformation Leadership Academy. This is really, I have to be honest, when I started here, and of course you saw or you heard that I've been in the community my whole life, I had no appreciation for what the YW does until I started there. And I've had the distinct pleasure of meeting victims that have come to me personally. And one little girl, she was probably 10 years old, 12 years old. And I was at an expo and she walks up to me and she walks up to my table and she says, thank you. I said, honey, for what? I said, you didn't even play my game. What are you thanking me for? And she goes, no, my mommy and I had to stay with you guys. And I just want to say thank you. And I said, well, how are you doing now? And she goes, we're doing really good.
And I was only there not even a month, and I could just cry thinking of it because that filled my bucket so much, knowing that we have that little impact on just this one little girl. And through that day, I heard 3 other women come up and tell me that they were doing okay and they thanked us for being there. So with that being said, it's a hard reality in this community, but it does happen. We have physical violence, sexual violence, and stalking and psychological aggression. That is what domestic violence is classified as. And then victims can be married, they can be acquaintances, they can be same-sex couple. All of those are qualified under domestic violence. The saddest reality, and we all don't probably know this, but we know somebody who's been through this. And so 41% of women and 26% of men have been victims of domestic violence. The female primary age is 20 to 24. However, even though that's on there in black and white, I can tell you that that is not what I'm seeing in our organization. In our building, they are not 20 to 24 years old. They are, but there's definitely a higher age group. I just saw a lady who's about 60 in our facility, and that's a sad, sad state. Most cases are not reported. And the stat just blows my mind that we were the 5th highest county in the state of Michigan to report domestic violence cases. And, you know, in that same year, we also had 202 sexual assaults. So how do we help these people? So the primary way that we can help, and when I'm talking to you, you're probably thinking, what do I need to know about this? You never know when you're going to run into somebody and they reveal their ugliest secret. Right? And it's important for you to know that we're out there because we want them to come to us. We want to help them. So the first stop is our crisis line. It's open 24/7 all year long. And somebody will answer that call. You're not going to go to a voicemail. Somebody is going to talk to you. And during that time, they're going to get an assessment of your situation and be able to put a plan together on whatever it is your next steps would be. So everybody's situation is different. So our job is to figure out where we can help you get out of it and how we can help you do that. So I mentioned the safe room or the safe center. It's a sexual assault forensic exam room. This room is literally an office. It looks like a doctor's office. We are not allowed into the exam room. So I've never seen the exam room because of privacy issues and also because of the high, it needs to stay sterile. This is where people come to us for rapes. And they call our crisis line. And within 1 hour, we have a nurse who reports to our building and takes care of that client or victim who's been raped. And in that room, they do their nurses are called SANE nurses. They're sexual assault nurse examiners. And they've been trained to be able to do a rape kit. And, and then at that same time, we bring in advocates who will be with the patient and helping them answer questions and their person to be able to give them the strength that they need to get through that particular situation. Now, I'm going to also explain in a minute, last year, we helped 162 rape victims. And of those, I was told 25% are children. Staggering, staggering. The primary age of those children is 4 to 6 and then 10 to 14. So, and I said to the nurse, I said, what can we do? What do you need from us? And she said, we need blankets, we need teddy bears, we need things, coloring books, things for those kids to do while they're here, something they can fidget with or hold. But the other thing that I never even thought of, and I'm sure it never crossed your mind either, is that when a victim goes through a rape examination, they take their clothes. Everything is evidence. So those children are left with nothing. So we also have we have underwear and sweatsuits and clothing for those kids on standby and adults, because everything now becomes part of evidence to be able to pursue any kind of legal action. So the other thing that we do, and this is a blessing in our community, is we have a safe house. We are all of these things are located right in our Phoenix building, right downtown. People don't know this, and that's okay because these are victims that are trying to get their life together. So we have a 32-bed emergency shelter upstairs where we feed, clothe, give them all their basic necessities. When victims come to us, they come maybe with a bag, maybe. And so we have to start anew with them. So that's shoes. Think of that when these women are coming with their children. And our safe house has been full for the last year and a half, actually. So 32 people occupy. It is a commune, so you might have 2 families living in one room, but that's better than where they were, right? So we also have advocates, as I mentioned earlier, on staff. And so anytime somebody presents themselves to us, whether as a sexual assault victim or a domestic violence victim, we have an advocate that is now assigned to that person and helps them figure out their next steps. So whether that's they need to file a PPO, whether it is they're going through divorce and now they need an attorney, or it's I need a new house, or I need a new job, or I need to get out. That advocate is there to help them through every step of their next steps in their journey. Oops, sorry. So as I mentioned, the victim advocate is designed to provide the survivors with the space to begin healing and physically and emotionally, which is really huge. We do sessions, we do group sessions. We also work with the moms there because as they're dealing with their trauma, they still have to deal with their children. And so we're working with mom and children classes, parenting classes, the I love you classes, and trying to teach them a new normal on how to relate to each other out of that situation. Everything that we do is confidential and free. Am I doing that? Like, what am I doing? So we also have advocates that are in the court system. So we have some in the sheriff office. We have a person at the sheriff office, and we also have somebody at the courthouse. And that person is there for them as they're going through the legalities of whatever their victim situation is, so that they're never alone. Never alone. And that's the most important thing here. So we give them we empower them by giving them the courage to be able to take the next step they need to do to be able to get them out of their situation. So this is what we did in last fiscal year. So we helped people with 207 PPOs. We accepted 1,440 phone calls. We did 162 rape kits. We had 295 people stay in our safe house, which equates to 11,680 nights of stay. And we provided advocacy support to 2,652 people. Now, the other thing that we did, and this is really wonderful about the YWCA, give me one second. Excuse me. Is we're not just a proactive or a reactive organization. We don't just react to people's needs. We want to be proactive, and thank you very much. And we want to be able to help them avoid these situations, right? So we don't want it to be repetitive for the current victims, but we also want to teach people how to have healthy relationships. So out of that, we started the Women's Empowerment Center. So this movement started in 2020 during COVID. We started a capital campaign to open a Women's Empowerment Center, also located right inside the Phoenix building. And it was $1 million capital campaign, and we're very close. We're within $40,000 of reaching that goal, but that's not stopping us from moving forward. And so this Empowerment Center is going to be a grand opening in October. We'll make sure that we send the Rotary an invitation, and we'd love to have you there. But what are we going to do in this space? So we're already doing it. It was finally finished in 2022. And in that room, we're doing coaching and mentoring classes. We're doing leadership workshops, focusing on confidence building, leadership skills, healthy relationships, financial literacy, parenting, etc. And then, of course, general programming. So we're working on wellness and mindfulness and violence against women awareness, reproductive rights, and more. And our point in doing this is these classes are going to be open. They are open to the public. So, and there is no charge. And we want to be able to be that resource for people who might need us in whatever situation the class is. So I would love to do a real estate class. I mean, there's women out there who want to buy a house, but they don't know the next step to do that. Or the financial literacy, people that are there and they don't understand, investments. So those are kind of the things that we want to be able to offer to women in a safe place where they can come and ask questions and also be informed. This is a great program. I was privileged to see it this year. It is our new program. It's called Girls Aspire Leadership Program, and it started last year with just 6th graders. It's going to grow every year. So this year we had a 6th and 7th grade. So the 6th graders from last year all came back as our 7th graders this year. And then we brought in a new class for 6th, and then next year our 7th graders will be 8. And so they'll go through this whole program. And during that, it's really amazing. These young ladies got to talk to college students. I happened to be in the room when they were doing it. They're asking all these questions about how did you get in? What grades did you have? How do you pay for it? Just these normal questions that kids might have. The other one that was really funny because it makes you appreciate their age was, do you have a curfew still? No, honey, we don't. You know, we can go to school whenever we want. And then we're doing this Young Women Choosing to Succeed. It's a 10-week program in our community at a local a partner off school, or I'm sorry, a off-site partner school. And this was really interesting because they did it for the first time this year. And we have Kanisha is the lady who leads these 2 programs, and she just loves it. And these kids are just, they learn how to be friends to each other, so they can be friends to other people, and they learn how to be kind and empower each other and lift each other up. And it's amazing to watch these kids go through the program. Here's some pictures I want to share with you. That was just this year, learning how to be a team. 7th graders went to base camp. So they learned how to work together and things like that. So there's wonderful opportunities for these girls. So our racial and gender equity programs are challenging racism workshops, racial justice transformational leadership academy. It's a 6-week series that was built by business leaders in our community. And it's going to be able to be used if you and your organization ever want us to come in and do a program, or you can be part of us, you can come to us. Those are some of the things that are going to be in our Women's Empowerment Center. Until Justice Just Is campaign is through the national, and so is the Why Women Vote, which is really a wonderful program too. The Until Justice Just Is a basically it's a Facebook link that people get on and talk to each other about challenges and how people react. And it was really interesting to be part of that this year, and that's open to the public. So how can you help? The biggest thing that I'm going to ask from you is to help us raise awareness about what we do. I think it's very important that people understand that this service is right here in this community, and that there are people out there that we may or may not know that need it. And so I'd love your help and be able to spread that word. You can also, if you'd like, sponsor a room in our safe house. By doing so, you can paint the room, you can provide bedding for that space. You can do whatever you want, and it'll be your room with your plaque on it saying that you sponsored it, and it's just for a year. The average cost on that for a year is about $1,500. You can provide gift cards for gas. So we do put people in hotels. We don't have enough room in our safe house. We never turn anybody away. So if we can't find them another place to stay, we'll put them up in a hotel. And while they're there, we feed them. We make sure that they can get to places. So we're looking for gas cards or Uber Eats or DoorDash cards to make sure that they have what they need while they're off site. Gender neutral sweat outfits for children. That is the sexual assault victims I was sharing with you. And basic needs, right? So our toiletries and things like that. And of course, we do get a lot of babies and younger children in our facility. So we're looking for all of the essentials for a young baby. And then the final thing I want to share with you is this is our annual fundraiser. We do one fundraiser a year. This is it. It's called our annual Circle Lunch. Men and women are welcome, and we love your participation. So if you'd like, your company would like to sponsor, or even I know Amy, you're going to be a team captain or a co-captain, or co-captain of a table. So what that means is that there's 10 seats at the table. Sandra is a captain. You invite 9 of your friends and you come and you learn a little bit more about what we do from a personal perspective. We also have a wonderful guest speaker at this, and it's Deborah Archer from the ACLU. And there is no cost to attend. However, we're hoping that our guests would consider a $100 donation to our organization. And like I said, there are opportunities to sponsor. So I think I'm within my time frame. And I just I hope I didn't talk too fast, but I'm certainly open to any questions that you might have. And you're welcome to take down my cell phone number if you'd like to ever reach out to me. Yes.
Teresa, how do you get your primary?
So a lot of our funding for domestic violence and sexual assault is grant funded. There is a program through the state, but there's also other personal, private foundations and grants that we use. Other than that, that ends. And once that's, as far as that funding, then we have all these other programs that are not funded. So it's all through individual donations or corporate sponsorship. Yes,
Okay, well, in the same house, you said you had mothers with the kids.
yes.
What about like schooling for the kids?
That's a good question. Yes. So what we do is there's transportation that's arranged to be able to keep those children in their current school district. So they don't have to change school districts when they're in school. So,
No problem with the abuser trying to.
no, because the school does get informed on that and who picks up and all of that. And it's an unfortunate situation. And usually at that point, there's a PPO order in place and then the school is aware of that as well. I saw another hand, yes. Sir?
Most of these people that have had this service all through.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
These people that have all this assistance.
Yes.
You adopt that for themselves. So if they get older, it's to the service to themselves.
Yes, so in fact, yes, I know this because I met some of those victims. In fact, I got a phone call from one the other day. She works for GM. She's part of the women's committee there. She actually is a leader on that. And they're doing a fundraiser for us. And then she confided in me that she was a victim and that she used her services. And she said that it's because of you that I'm here actually. So yes. Now, the average statistic, I'll be honest, is that it takes women about 7 times before they finally leave a situation that's violent. Our job is to help them not make it 7 times. Let's get them out as soon as we can and show them the way that they can be successful.
What's your relationship with Voices for Children?
We do work with them. In a lot of cases, they'll let us know or we'll work with them as far as what that relationship is. I just know it's an open line of communication, whatever they need, we help them with and whatever we need to go to them. Do you know anything more than that, Sandra?
I know I got a lot of questions. Anyway, I know that there's a lot of seniors that we hear about that get abused by family members. Do you provide any services for people, older people?
So if it's physical abuse, yes, we can help them. If it's financial and manipulation, family services in town, Raquel, we've never worked with her. She's wonderful. She's their executive director and she works specifically with the elder population.
So your safe house might even have people in their 60s.
Yes, and there is somebody there right now that's well over 60. Yes, sir.
I know it doesn't happen often. How frustrating is it when you work with a victim and then they end up going back with the boyfriend?
Yeah, I don't work with the victims directly, but I can tell you some of the things I've heard. Of course, people are disappointed. And then it's also, we have to keep an open door policy because if they need us, we have to be there again. And that's unfortunate, but our job is to show them as best we can that they can get out. So we've moved people to Florida. We've Ubered people to Kalamazoo. So we do everything we can to get them out of that situation. Those are rare, it's not all the time, but when there is an opportunity for that victim to literally leave the county and go somewhere unknown. Anybody else? I just want to say thank you again, David. Thank you again for the opportunity to come and share what we do. And I left some of our annual reports on the back, so if you're interested in one of those, and if we run out, I have more. And then if you ever need to reach me, please feel free. Thank you so much.
I can't think of a better example of a community organization creating hope in the world. So Teresa, thank you so much for being here. And as just a symbol of our gratitude. We've made a contribution in your name to international and global eradication of polio. So thank you for being.
I have to. Took me a while to do this the last time, so I'm not quite sure it's, let's see. We still have somebody on Zoom, thank goodness, with all this switching back and forth, we haven't lost them.
So all I have to do really is thank all the great people who helped us make this meeting happen today. Past President Elizabeth, thank you for your inspirational message. And Bob Sabilski, thank you for introducing our guest speaker. Brian is taking bulletin notes, which is so helpful. I'm gonna put another plug in. We have a new Rotary news for there that past President Elizabeth has stepped in and was doing. And so if you're not finding that, let me know. That's one thing. Just I know it's a different format. It's not an email with an attachment. It's coming right from Plug Runner. Please let me know. And along that line, and just in terms of communication, instead of calling, and we'll try to get this in my next, instead of calling a meeting, please call me. I would love to hear from you. I think it's helpful for the president to know what are the pain points, what are you getting information on. If you don't know where the next meeting is, I'm really happy to take that call. Text me, phone me, my information, contact information, so give me a break. Put it on me, and I'd love to just say hello. So thank you, Terry, as always, for being here for registration. Where are you? Set up and take down. Thank you so much. And Mike for stepping in to speak to do the 50-50 raffle. Seeing his facilities. So it was great to see everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do to really be a part of our community and creating hope in the world. We are a journey.